How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Forever Arsenal podcast. We're all back in the building. Everyone's trying to hold their smiles. I don't know what's going on. Tell me, lads, what's going on?
I'm laughing because of James trying to hold his laughing.
I'm laughing because I knew they'd laugh at me laughing. So it's all just a big cycle of rubbish.
One day I'm just going to start the stream with a plain face just like this. And see what you lot do about it. We need an intro, don't we? So let me live, people. Let me live. But listen, hit the like button if you haven't already, people. We are back and we're back to preview the Fulham game this weekend at the Emirates. Jordan.
Put a pound in, please, Jordan.
The light's gone out.
You've been paying your bills.
Hang on a second.
Too busy laughing at my intro. Your bills need to be paid, mate.
Oh shit!
Get on that app and pay what you need to pay, my guy.
You got a candle? You got a candle?
I'm gonna say, as you were. Okay, carry on.
As you were, you know. All right, cool. All right, well,
the
Jordan will be
electricity
back.
company heard he wanted Edison in the field, and they went, "We'll just cut the power there. Can't allow him to."
That's it. I'm sure the comment section will be happy with the power being cut, but you know, we'll see what they think. Let us know below, people. Let us know below.
They've probably done it. You know what I mean? They've probably done it. The viewers have gone around and cut his cable, like just as we're about to start.
They said, "Oh, not this again."
80,000 people have got like out their cable cutters. Come on, let's get rid of him. Let's get rid of this jerk.
Lee, out there in Turkey, enjoying yourself on holiday, man. How's it going? All good?
Yeah, all good. Like having a lovely time. Like the weather's really nice. I haven't bumped into Robbie yet, and James is coming out here next week. So half the gang's out here, like so. Yeah, it's a well-deserved holiday. So having a nice break. Really good.
And don't believe Cecil, by the way. None of this was planned. None of this was discussed. It's completely random. But he's all off with his conspiracy theory, so we'll leave him to it.
Yeah, you wait till I see him when I get back.
On his Instagram stories, going through the slides of his video on and whatnot.
He's in.
Jordan, what's going on? Have you sorted this yet? Jordan's audio.
Unbelievable, Jordan.
Hang on, I'm here.
Well done, people out there.
I'm fixing it. Hang on.
He's just
trying to get started without you, Jordan.
Yeah, man. Yeah, carry on. I'm listening.
The ultimate professional, he is.
Cool.
Like, I mean, he's a yickers, like that's all I'm saying. Like, you know, I tell you what, he's the worst. He's the worst Channel 4 man I've ever known. You know what I mean? It really is. How he got a job, I do not know. He upsets everybody on the Arsenal fan base. He's basically technically crap. I don't really know how he gets on in life. I really don't. Other than that, he seems like a decent guy. What do you think, guys? You know what I mean?
Carry on, guys. Carry on. I'm here.
Oh dear.
Let's get into it. Obviously, we got Fulham at home this weekend, but before we get into Fulham at home, there's been somewhat movement in the transfer window. Pepe has agreed to join Nice with no option to buy. Maybe we start there, James.
Yeah, and I apologise early on for the lag on my end, so I'm not much better than Jordan, but at least with the lights in this house. Yeah, look, I kind of discussed this on the news show with Charoy because the breaking news came through. Are you all right there, Jordan? I can hear it all out. Look, I think
he's got his boyfriend doing on the old bike with the whole electric light. You know what I mean?
Go on, James. I'm listening, James. I'm listening.
I think the no buy option is a good thing for Arsenal. I think they're learning a little bit from the Guendouzi stuff, where we basically just wanted to agree anything we really could that it included some sort of semi-profitable income. With Pepe, you see how Saliba's done on loan in France, Balogun, Tavares are all thriving out there. There's a real opportunity for Pepe to go back to the league where he played his best football and shoot his value right up. Because we said this on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, his reputation at Arsenal is not in the mud. It's not completely down the drain. This is a player who actually in 3 years, yes, flop, sure, because of the money we paid and what we got out of him. but he's a player who showed some quality. He's a player who showed there's someone there, and maybe it's left a lot of people with this sense of, well, maybe under a different manager or a different system, you might get something. So I think that, coupled with hopefully a really good year with Nice out in France, might just sort of, listen, you're not going to get 45, 50 million for him, but you might get 25. I know he's only got a year left, but if Arsenal have a good season and put themselves in a position of strength, when it comes to negotiation of selling players, they say, listen, look what we spent the last 2 windows. We don't need to sell. Stop stressing. If you want to pay up. And that will come off the back of a good season. I think hopefully Arsenal are learning from that and setting themselves up for a powerful position in the negotiation next summer. So I'm happy with the move, and it clears some room in the squad for hopefully an incoming.
Yeah, originally we thought that we're going to have an option to buy for 15 million, and to be honest, with a year left and how it's been over the 3 years, I tend to agree with you. He has been a flop for the price tag expectation and standards we expect at Arsenal, and he can't leave with his head held high equally, but he leaves with some sort of intrigue about him. Can the next team find the old Pepe, or is it well and truly over for him now? There's also rumors that he rejected Leicester to allow this Nice move. And that leads me to believe he probably thinks this league isn't for him, because Leicester, they're not on Arsenal's level, but it's the Premier League, the most watched league in the world. He would have still had a chance to showcase his talents to, a world audience. Whereas at Nice, he's going to be a bit more under the radar. He'll get, I guess he'll get to enjoying his football a bit more.
Was that for me? Sorry.
Oh, am I the only one who's lost Turkish?
No,
I've lost him as well. You
lost him.
Okay,
I'm here.
So we're all having problems.
You see,
Jordan's talking to all of us. What just happened there?
I don't know.
They're at your house now, Turkish.
You got a bit. It looked like you got a bit of the Jordans. I don't know if that was what you got there. A bit of Jordans.
Where was that?
You were
talking about rejecting Leicester, and how it kind of made it seem that maybe he didn't want the Premier League and that he wanted to look elsewhere. That's where we got to.
Yeah, Nice, he can play under the radar. He can enjoy his football. He can just, I guess, when we got him, he was more that street football type of player where, you just enjoy it with some creative freedom. Then he came to Arsenal, it just didn't work out. Jordan, you was going to say something?
Yeah, just briefly that I don't know if I think that it's an excuse to say that players can't settle in particular leagues, because half of me thinks, well, football's football. So it's 11 players, 2 goals, same pitch, like just play football. Or if I'm on the opposite side of the fence that says that actually there are examples of talented players that have come to this league and just struggled. And I think I would put Ozil in that category. I'd put Mkhitaryan in that category. And maybe Pepe is just not built for this league. Maybe the league is too quick, too physical. I don't know. I think he'll probably go back to back to France and rip it up. And that might be, a showcase of the style of football in the French league, or it might just be it's a slightly lesser level. But you know my thoughts on Pepe. But I'm just more disappointed though in the wider point about outgoings of the money that we're receiving. It was mooted earlier in the week that we were being looked at for possible FFP breach for what we're spending, but we're not actually. For a few seconds, it made sense to me because we don't get a lot in for a lot of our transfers. We spent big back-to-back summer windows now. And look at teams like Chelsea, who have just got, I think, 15 million for Emerson. They've just done a deal to let Emerson leave. Emerson was like third team, not even second team. He was hardly in the picture, and other teams seem to be able to offload players and still get good money in. Whereas when was the last time we let a player go of quality and got decent money in for them? I'm just fed up of these loans that end up being, oh, you know what, sorry, we'll just pay him off and just keep him. Or if we do get a fee, it's minimal. I think there's a bigger issue about outgoings. Pepe is the latest example of really bad business. There's nothing overly embarrassing in paying a crazy fee for a player and it flops. That can happen. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing, but that can happen. But then to take such a huge hit, I don't know if other teams take that bigger hit. I think if Chelsea, to use them as an example again, if they pay 70 million for Pepe, I bet you they're getting more than 20 million back for him. They might not get half the money back, but they're going to get more than 20, 25 mil for him. So that for me is a frustration of mine. And Pepe is the latest example of a player that he'll be alone and he'll go out on a permanent eventually. But it's just how many more players are we going to just lose value on, like big money on as well? That's my bigger frustration.
How do we turn that around? Because I think that's come about over the years. You know, other clubs are looking at Arsenal. And, you know, we've made it easy for the selling team. We haven't really kept value in a few of the fringe players at the club. Hence why we're in this position. And a lot of it does come down to inexperience and maybe, but I don't know what else really. But like for Hector Bellerin, for example. How can we not get 10, 15 million for him? Now, I say that not necessarily blaming Arsenal Football Club right now, because I'd still say we should be able to get 10, 15, but no one wants to offer. But like you said, other teams managed to get that fee.
Can I pose a theory? And I think that the theory is that I wonder, and it's just a theory, I could be wrong, but I wonder if teams across Europe have seen Arsenal in the last couple of years pay off players or let players go for free and just thought to themselves, well, we'll just wait and hold out because we know that Arsenal will pay off Socrates or pay off Aubameyang or pay Ozil to leave. So we'll hold out and wait for them to do that. The counter to that is, or the other side of that is, the flip is, do I want my club to get rid of players who are, the word toxic is a really deep word. I like to use it sparingly, but players who are clearly affecting the culture of the club and the progression of the club, just get them out by whatever means. Ozil was an example of where he had to just go, just pay him off, get him out. Aubameyang, same. I think he just had to go. So on one side, I'm happy that we're just getting these players out of the club in order to move on and progress overall. But the message I wonder if it's sending out to Europe is, well, Arsenal just pay. Arsenal will just pay, or they'll just take a proper low fee to get the player out at any cost. So it's just a theory. I don't know how much, if I'm right.
It's desperation, because Arsenal have been so desperate in the window in terms of trying to readdress the way their transfer business has been conducted over the last few years, trying to readdress the balance of the squad. Edu mentioned in one of his interviews having players that don't really have real resale value. Now, let's look at, for example, Aubameyang, Ozil, Kolasinac, Guendouzi, Fourever, Bellerin, these players that have gone or we are, losing, soon and have done in the last year or two. Arsenal have been so desperate to try and readdress the culture and get the right personnel in that they've just had to. But teams know that. Teams just know that. They know you really want to get rid of this person, and it gives them all the negotiation power. Arsenal are trying to almost invest now with these terminating of contracts, with these low fees. They're trying to take the hit now so that they get the squad and the balance where they want it to be. They get Hale End to where they want it to be, so that these players start going. And a good example of business we have done well is Joe Willock. Went for 25 million. But the thing is that he went out...
And Iwobi, to be fair.
And Iwobi, yeah. And these players had a future. They had potential. They had a reason why they were worth a pun. They were worth something. Arsenal had very, very many assets. I mean, we talk about not getting fees, but other than Guendouzi, how many players could we really have commanded fees for? I know that Chelsea might be about to pay, maybe 25, 30 million for Aubameyang. That's just stupid, in my opinion. Otherwise, Lacazette, who was really going to pay that much for him or Bellerin? But that's not me saying that they don't have something to offer. But you start incorporating their age, their injury history, and all these things. So Arsenal are just still getting out of that cycle of getting rid of the players that they just frankly don't want. No one wants really, and then they'll have a squad that will hopefully have more assets. And then those fringe players, maybe in a couple of years' time, they want first team action. They actually go for proper fees. That's the hope.
12 months ago, Arsenal could have got some money for Lacazette. I'm with Turkish. Arsenal now can get 10 million for Bellerin. There's players that you might not get your money back. You might not get good money, but to just let players go for free and or to minimal fee, I don't know. There's something we're doing wrong.
2 years ago, sorry, Lee, we'll get yours. But 2 years ago, Lacazette, I think we could have on the back of a fairly good season. Bellerin, I mean, listen, I'm being really honest, and I made on this channel, for anyone who's not seen, I made all the excuses for Bellerin, the ACL injury. You know, I've applied that context many times before. But who is paying 10 million for Bellerin? If I'm being really honest, I don't know.
Come
I don't know
on, a Premier League right back. Sorry, Lee, I know you want to come in, but a Premier League right back that's you know a decent age. Come on, there's a mid-table Premier League club or a top 6 La Liga club.
He's not better than Matty Cash. He's not better than Nelson Semedo. He's not better than Castagna.
Nottingham Forest just spent 100 mil. You're trying to make. Come on.
He's probably not. They just had Jed Spence. He's not better than Jed Spence. Like I'm not trying to heap on Bellerin here. I'm really not. I'm just trying to make the point that he wasn't performing at Arsenal. There's an injury history. So yeah, maybe a couple mil here and there, and he'll go to. He did well at Betis. He did well at Betis. I'm not. Again, there's context all of it, but I just think we're still getting. Edu could do better on the sales front. Of course he could, but I also understand where there's just a couple more. Let's take Maitland-Niles, for example. Year left on his deal. We should get 7 to 10 mil. If that's like a 2-3 mil, then that's poor. But, you know, like there's certain players where I see the value. Others, I'm just not surprised that it's gone the way it's gone. Kolasinac, for example. Yeah, terminate contract, go to Marseille. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
What I think we made is lots of mistakes. You know, Maitland-Niles was a mistake. You know, 2 years ago, Wolves were in for him for 30 million. Didn't take it up. He was never going to be used. That was something when they were sitting around a table, they should have turned around and said, "Look, are you going to use him sparingly? Like, well, let's take the 30 million then, and then we can reinvest that in somewhere else." I think with Bellerin, I think it's a little bit difficult, the situation, because of the injury. I honestly think that when these players get these ACL injuries, I don't really know too many players that come back anywhere near the same standards as they were before.
Yeah.
You look at Van Dijk, you know what I mean? Like, he's still a great defender, but he's not hit the heights that he was before the ACL injury. I think with Bellerin, I think it's, you know, he relied a lot on his pace and to get him out of trouble and things like that. That's just gone a little bit through that injury, and I think, you know, it's really, really tough. And I think that when clubs look at it and they got that ACL injury in it, they're not prepared to spend big money on it, you know. So it's a difficult one from that point of view. I think we've all got to admit that we've made these mistakes have happened, but I do see like the end of the tunnel on these mistakes now. Like, I do think that this is the last time that we're going to see it. That's why I'm a little bit disappointed, if I'll be honest, with Pepe going out on loan. I think they should have just ended it. You know, once they got Maitland-Niles, Bellerin, and then Pepe, then that would have been. I don't think there would have been any more. I think we've got lots of assets at the club now, and things would be a little bit different. I just think, again, what we've done is we're just holding back what's going to happen next year now, a year down the line, you know, with Pepe. You know, what's going to happen next year? He's going to come back. We're going to have all this uncertainty again, and then he's going to go for 10 million. We might as well just get rid of him for 10 million now, you know what I mean, and be done with it. Not being horrible about it. You just sometimes I hear a lot of things of older players and things like that saying professional football's ruthless, and then it is ruthless. And I think at times we've got to be ruthless as well, like, you know. And I don't think that we are with certain things. Ruthless with decisions. I mean, sometimes you've got to be a little bit nasty and say that, you know, you've not got a future here, so we're gonna, go. And I think other clubs do that. You know, and that's why players move on a little bit. Like, you know, I remember going back a few years ago, Paul Merson was one, you know what I mean, was negotiating contracts, and they turned around and said, no, we're selling you. And the player would turn around and go, well, they're prepared to sell me, so I'm off. It doesn't seem like there's that stigma with it now. Like, you know what I mean? Well, they want to get rid of me, but no, I'm happy to stay and do whatever I want to do. It's a little bit different now. But for me, we've got to be a little bit more ruthless. I do agree with Jordan on this. I think that we've not done very, very well. I'm a little bit annoyed about this Pepe thing, because I think what's going to happen is we're going to get Vieira, I think, played in the under-23s last time as a wide right. But it looks like they're going to slot him into the wide right area as a backup or somebody that's going to play. I just think that at the end of the day, our squad is just going to be too thin again. And if it is, I'm going to be furious at the end of this transfer, because we've built a real good energy of the team. And if we get a couple of injuries, it's going to all go pear-shaped again. And I just worried now that we don't do it. If we're going to get rid of Pepe now, we have now got to bring in at least 2 players. You know what I mean? One's not good enough now, you know, in this transfer window. It means now a wider player or an attacking forward's got to come in, and a midfield player, you know. So these next 2 weeks now, how long is it? Just over a week now.
I think it's a week.
A week now. I'm getting bloody nervous again, like, because I don't want to get nervous. I want us to, you know, so that we go into this season with all of our focus doing really, really well. We've got the Europa League draw coming up this week. We've got the Europa League games coming up. We're going to need a bigger squad, guys. You know what I mean? Like, and if we don't get it, I feel that it's a failure from the board and you know, when things are looking so good. So I am worried. I must admit, like, you know, when people keep telling me, oh yeah, we're getting rid of these players to bring in new additions. Well, they said that in January, so I'm a little bit worried about it, I'm going to say. So we'll have to wait and see. But if Arsenal don't make a move for a couple of players, I'll be very, very disappointed, especially when you see now West Ham are looking at the midfield player that we was looking at, you know. Players are seeming to be going everywhere. Like, you know, the Tillemans one does seem like it's got legs in it, I'll be honest. But come on, let's get these deals done. And then I wouldn't be so worried if Pepe's going, you know what I mean? And players like that.
My final point on Pepe would be, I'm in agreement with Lee. For Pepe, for us to get a decent fee on from Pepe, he's going to have to score 20 plus goals next year for wherever he goes. He ain't doing that. So there's nothing he can do for us to get a proper fee for him. So I agree with Lee. Just let him go for 10 mil now. Just end it now. Give us 10 mil, take the player. He can move on. We can move on.
Well, listen, going from outgoings to incomings, not sure Lee's up to date, but David Ornstein tweeted the other morning, sorry. And as the rumours heated up with Pepe to Nice and possibly Leicester, the Pedro Neto rumours to Arsenal from Wolves heated up with Ornstein tweeting that, you know, we've been interested in a good few weeks now. The only difference being the valuation. We're in and around the 35 million ballpark. They want in and around 50 million. So Lee, back to you. Pedro Neto, you just mentioned the need for incomings, the need to replace the quality, like, you know, the quality up top that we're losing with Nicolas Pepe. Pedro Neto, fan of his? Know much of him?
Well, I've seen him a few times at Wolves. He's a good player, a very, very good player. Like, you know, one that I wouldn't be adverse to having at the club. I do like the way we're going now. It's been a thing for me, like, you know, for a few years now. We brought in Jesus, Premier League experience. We brought in Zinchenko, Premier League experience. Look at them two have come in and they've made, you know, like they've made an impact straight away. So I think that's important. The likes of, if we're going to go for someone like Tillemans and we're going to go from someone like Neto, that they're experienced and know what they're doing. You know, the Vieira one, for instance, I don't really know if it's going to be good or whatever, you know, because he's not come into the league. I don't know. So, but yeah, so I'm up on that. Like, I don't know about you guys, how I feel. I like these transfers when no one hears about them and then they come in there, like, you know, like the fella's just gone from Sweden. Isaac is just, I think I'm hearing that he's gone to Newcastle today, like, you know, out of the blue. No one's heard of it. There weren't no links. Bosh, it's done. I love those sort of ones, you know what I mean? Like the Vieira one for us. I think with this Neto one, is it too much? Even with the Tillemans one, it's, you know what I mean, keeps dragging on and dragging on. So I just want to see Arsenal just go, Bosh, yeah, we've got him and that'd be great. Like, you know, I get that the Tillemans one's a little bit difficult because of the contract stuff and everything like that. But if it is Neto that they're the one that they're going to get, I got no problem with that. It does look a decent player, and a player that I think that Arsenal fits the Arsenal criteria. If I'll be honest, you know what I mean. I look at, I still would go for Zaha if I had the choice, but I just don't think he's in that Arsenal fit where he's a little bit too old, if I'll be honest. But yeah, player with a lot of potential. I don't know if Wolves are willing to sell it. I tell you what does help sometimes. It's like when, you know, the player makes the decision, doesn't it? Like, you know, it's like I didn't really see Gordon, for instance, leaving Everton, but he's come out and said, "Oh, I want to go to Chelsea," and that just changes it a little bit, like, you know. So you don't hear from. I haven't really heard from Neto saying, "Yeah, I want to leave." So I don't know, but it would be a good addition to the squad. Yeah, definitely.
And Tillemans, you know, sat out the game on the weekend because his head wasn't in the right place. I guess you mean things like those, you know, aid to.
Yeah, he plays in midweek though. Turkish plays in.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
not his head's right, not for the Premier League, and then. Oh well, I'll tell you what. We're going to get him cup side for the guy. So I just don't know where we stand with that. Like, you know, some people tell me that's a good thing. Doesn't really matter. But if I was a player, I'd want to play in every competition, wouldn't you? I wouldn't want to be cup tied.
Is that
you know
right?
what I mean?
So he's now cup tied?
Yeah, he played for Leicester yesterday.
Is that? I mean, I know they changed the rules, but I don't know if that was just in Europe. Do you remember that year we signed Aubameyang and we couldn't play him because he played for Dortmund?
That was Europe.
They've changed that. So had that been a year later, so I wonder whether, because that is ridiculous, isn't it? You know, if the transfer window's open, then it should be the same. It should all be, you know. Anyway, whatever. I won't go into.
Well, I'll be honest with you. If we're buying Tillemans, we're not buying Tillemans for the League Cup. So,
but if we get to a final, you want him. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but
your boy Xhaka's doing all right, innit? You'll be all right with him there.
And his other boy can go midfield. Remember, Zinni can go midfield too. Remember?
Don't worry about Zinchenko. He'll make you all look stupid by the end of the season. But yeah, it's a weird one that with Tielemans. I didn't really think of the cup tied thing.
Can I just say I find it a bit bizarre how we're going so hard for an attacking wide man, but I'm sounding like a broken record now. The priority for me is a midfielder still. I would like another wide man to come in. I wouldn't be upset if Neto came in. I think he's a really good player. Although it does kind of kibosh the deal that I would like us to be teeing up for next summer, which is Eze. I would love us to be kind of eyeing him up for next summer. I think he's one of the top talents in the country right now. He's such a player. He's who I wanted. Right. So it's funny Lee mentions Zaha. I actually want Eze from Palace, but Neto, I'm happy with that. But I still just feel we're light in midfield, and not even with Zinni. You know, putting in some decent performances in you know, if not pushing into the midfield, I still feel we need another midfielder in. And I just find all these links to wide attackers in preference for a midfielder. I just find it a bit bizarre. And the Tillemans thing for me, I'd move on. You know my thoughts. I've never really been sold on the Tillemans thing anyway. I'd move on. What is he, Maradona? Why are we chasing Tillemans all this time? Just move on. Do you know what I mean? It's Maradona. Like, yeah, man, acting like he's like this. It's like, come on, man. He's a really good player, but he's kind of mugging us off a little bit now. Like, move on.
I don't think he's doing anything. I think this is all Arsenal's choice. If we get him, it will be because Arsenal meant it to be this late. Everyone apparently wants to come. He's got a year left on his contract. There's every incentive for Leicester to sell, but they want to recoup most of their money. And Arsenal look at a wide player and they're going, listen, we've got to put maybe 35, 40 million aside for that wide player. So Tielemans has to come in for 20, 25. And I think that's where it is. And I think Arsenal, having got a lot of their core business done early, have allowed themselves that chance to leave this one or two players as the late additions. And if the right man's not there, the right man's not there. So I really think it's a case of them pushing hard to get the right players. And if they don't, they'll go, okay, well, whatever, we'll make do. Marquinhos seems to be impressing in, you know, but yeah, go on.
Is this you saying that you think we're going to get two players in?
No, I think they're trying to. I think that now. I do. Before I wasn't. But listen, when they got Zinchenko, forget, you know, the bet and everything, Robbie. I did think that one of the attractions to him was that he could play in Xhaka's role when Tierney was fit. And I think they saw that as sort of two birds, one stone. But the Tielemans rumours haven't gone away. He has been playing really well at left back. You know, and Neto's the top priority. David Ornstein did say, and this hasn't really been talked about enough, that they've been talking to Jorge Mendes for a month over this deal. There's far too much to do to be wasting a month over a player, you know, who might come, might not. Can we afford him? We don't know. They'll have got all that info very quickly. Does he want to come? Can we afford him? What's it going to take? How can you help us here, Jorge? And there'll be now Pepe's at the door. They'll be trying to figure that out. And I'm sure they've got backups. So I think they'll get one in. I think they'll prioritise it forward, and if there's a little bit left in the back, they'll do Tielemans too.
Is Neto stronger on the right or the left?
Well,
he's played predominantly left, no?
Yeah, he has.
So how many left-sided attackers do we want then?
But he does go across front three.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's left-footed, so I guess you play him on the right. He cuts in. You play him on his favoured left side. He hugs the touchline a bit more.
Okay.
I guess we don't have that winger though, a left-footed left winger. We don't really, you know. Pepe was played there a few times. We seem to like it here and there. It's an option. It adds an option. But yeah, I'm happy with the Neto rumours. A player that I liked a lot. Obviously, he had a massive injury as well. We just mentioned that with Bellerin.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like he's bounced back. I don't think he's found the level he was at before the injury yet, but hopefully that's still to come. And hopefully if he comes to us, you know, he finds that us and we'll see. But I'm with Lee. I think a couple more would really solidify that hope and belief we found moving into the new season. It would really give the wings to the charge, let's say. But we'll see if we get it done.
My final point, sorry, Turkish. Isn't there some talent in the lower leagues? Isn't there someone in the championship that we can?
There absolutely is.
You know, there must be. Why are we not looking at the? Maybe we are, but there must be someone in the championship that, you know, we can bring in as a squad man. Jared Bowen came from the championship. Dele Alli came from League One. Like, I think sometimes we forget.
There's so many.
Man.
Arsenal is the one thing I'll say. Arsenal are rubbish when it comes to this, which is actually putting a little bit of faith into the championship. And then some of these, you know, exciting players come through and we're bidding 50, 60 million for them later. We are poor. We're poor at that. So I'm with you. That I don't know. Right now, I think a lot of those have gone. Your Ben Ramas, for example, he was doing at Brentford, Ollie Watkins. Okay, they don't all work. Ollie Watkins is proving an okay, fine Premier League player. For a lot of them, Eze, Olise, all them, you can see they ooze class. So I'm with you. We should be looking more. But I like the players we're linked with. I actually do. I really like Neto.
Yeah, I think if you look a few years ago, from top to bottom, our transfer activity was a mess. So it's nice to see, you know, we've got started in the Brazilian league now. It's nice to see that we've got profiles for players for the systems now. We're not all the way there because, like Jordan and James alluded to, there is players in the lower leagues that we can capitalize from. But we have been improving in that department. So hopefully, slowly but surely, we get to a level where we're completely happy with it. And all we're discussing every week is the matches and results and whatnot. And we're comfortable with the situation off the pitch. We have got a game this weekend, Saturday, 5:30 kickoff again. Back-to-back after the Bournemouth 3-0 win. This time we're at home, Emirates. And Fulham come to town. A Fulham side that have started the season pretty well, in my opinion. Some might say surprisingly well, when you consider that Liverpool probably purchased their, let me not say main talent, because Mitrovic, you know, he's done wonders over there. But Carvalho was a good young talent. Liverpool poached him was it in January they secured that deal?
Pretty much.
Yeah, in and around then. But Fulham have started the season strong. A draw against Liverpool and a couple of good results after that. But now they come to Arsenal. Mitrovic seems to have started the season well. A striker that usually would say that's the type of striker that causes us problems. But now we've got Saliba and Gabriel at the back. We do seem a lot more confident in our defence. But again, back to Lee. Let's start with Lee. Fulham, Emirates, what are you expecting?
I'm expecting a tough game. I really am. I've been impressed with Fulham. I thought they've done really well against Liverpool, played Liverpool and played them really well, I felt. Didn't really get the credit they deserved for that performance. I think everybody was looking at how poor Liverpool were. But I did think that they played really, really well on the day. They played to their strengths. And I expect a really tough game. You know, a good point at Wolves. Backed it up with another win, with a win against Brentford. So I do expect us to be a tough game. Do I expect us to win it? Yeah. Do I expect us to score goals? Yeah. So even though it will be a tough game for us, I still think that we should get the job done. And I'm looking forward to it. If I'll be honest, I'm looking forward to seeing what you know, if we can back it up after that. Great win at Bournemouth. I think it'd be a different game for us. I do think we'd be a little bit more open. I know it sounds silly. I think we'd be a little bit more open to the counter attacks, where we've been a little bit more solid in our 2 away performances with clean sheets. So I do expect to win the game. Do you want my score yet, or am I going to have to keep that quiet?
No, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's talk about lineups first. Let's talk about
Jordan's
lineups.
eyes rolling there, like,
actually, and just before we do, sorry to hijack the podcast. This is why it is important sometimes to have your phone at work. So have a little flick through. And in fairness, this supports what the guys were saying over what I was saying, and I do find this bit of news a bit disappointing. So Fabrizio Romano says that Southampton are pushing to sign Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Talks now in progress with Arsenal for a loan with an option to buy. The current Arsenal deal also includes an option to extend until 2024. So this feeds very much into what you guys were saying, where Arsenal in this situation, they're not going to be getting a fee. They're looking at a loan with a buy option, and they're going to extend his contract so that he just doesn't walk on a free by extending it a year. So for everything I've just said, I've got to say, I just said, didn't I? If it's 2-3 mil, I'll be really disappointed. That's almost as disappointing. We're chucking another year on his contract just in the hope he performs at Southampton and we get something in return. But he hasn't done it at West Brom. He hasn't done it at Roma. So anyway,
it's kicking it down. It's kicking the can down the street for me. I just think you're trying to tell me Arsenal can't negotiate a £10 million deal with somebody in Europe for Maitland-Niles. Surely they can negotiate a £10 million, a £7.5 million deal. Come on, let's just end this. I don't understand. When I'm going back to the last topic, Turkish, but it just feels like we're really crap at this, and our solution is okay. Let's just get him out on loan, and we'll deal with it in 2 years' time. It's like
Arsenal almost need to keep Maitland-Niles, keep Bellerin, almost as a statement now. Do you know what I mean? If Batiste and Southampton aren't willing to pay up, you go, well, listen, sorry guys, people aren't willing to pay what you're worth. You're sitting in you're sitting in the second, third team. Can't guarantee Europa League bench minute. It might have to be the way you do it. Just to say to clubs, listen, you think we're desperate or not? The truth is, with that money we spent the last few years, with the amount we still want to spend, we probably are desperate. So there you go. But at least we're getting players in, so I won't complain too much.
That sounds like an old saying, to cut your nose off to spite your face. It just feels like, we have to get rid of Bellerin and Maitland-Niles. These clubs know it. But when you say hold on to them just to change the aura or change the message we're sending out there, I completely understand it. But it will sicken me to see them in the squad, and not in a disrespectful way. I just mean I'm just tired of it. I'm just simply and truly just tired of seeing.
We're ready to move forward, but I get it. Yeah. All right. Anyway, sorry, back to Fulham. But I just thought that fed nicely into what we were discussing.
Yeah. Back to Fulham lineups, Jordan.
As you were for me, I don't see reason to change it. Like Lee said, I think it will be a difficult game. But let's be honest, I'm going to keep saying this. If we have aspirations of finishing 4th or higher, these are the games I expect us to win. That's not arrogance. That's not me being complacent. This is a game we should be winning. Fulham have started really, really well. But I feel this is a game that we won last year. These sorts of games at home, we were winning. And I expect us to win this game as well. I saw some analysis the other day about Fulham and Mitrovic, how he likes to peel off onto the back post, onto the weak of the defenders. So we saw it with Alexander-Arnold in the first week. I've forgotten who he did it against.
Brentford,
was it Brentford? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So this comes down to the key word, preparation. Okay, Arteta, we gave you lots of praise on the last podcast. This is where you earn your money. Prepare the team, and we kind of know what they're going to do. Mitrovic isn't going to burst past anybody. He's not going to beat you with skill and dink it in the top corner. He's going to say, look, put it at the back post. I reckon I can bully, I don't know, Ben White or whoever the left back is, Zinchenko. I can pull off onto the back of his number and get some joy there. Cool. That's not going to happen. So either we double up to support the fullback, so it's a 2-on-1, or stop the crosses. Whatever it may be, these are the games where I want to see a bit of coaching and a bit of preparation. Because again, if we drop points here, that does deflate the balloon a little bit for me from the first 3 games. I'm not saying it's panic stations, but come on, home to Fulham. I'm sorry, but
should get the job done. James, give us your thoughts. And as you are top of the prediction table, here is the update. Well, not really an update. You saw it last episode. We haven't predicted anything since. Since you are top, you might as well give us your thoughts and then end with your prediction, my guy.
Yeah. I think there's a discussion to be had around playing Tomiyasu because of what he does in the air and Mitrovic's to pull to the back post. But I get it. Let's not be changing what we want to do for Fulham at home, and that is no disrespect to Fulham. I like them. They're a local club for a long time. They've got some good players, and I wish them well in the league, just not when they play us. And then they've got some talented players. Another one is João Palhinha. He might well be the kind of player that stops us playing our game. But I'm going to go 2-0 because the player we haven't really touched on is Bernd Leno. And it completely kind of skipped my mind that actually, he's there. And I still think he's one of the better goalkeepers in the league. He's going to prove that, I think, this season. Certainly as a shot stopper. If we are having the kind of game we hope Arsenal can have, if it mirrors anything like the last two, then we'll be raining shots on their goals and he'll be a very busy man. And I think there's every chance that this is a game that we maybe could be comfortably ahead in and we're not. And it maybe then gets a little bit nervy and we're looking at someone like Bernd Leno because of that. Let me say last thing about Fulham. We talk about spines often, don't we? Have they got a spine? Well, Leno, Adarabioyo, Palhinha, Mitrovic. It's a good physical spine, that, with a mix of Premier League experience, young potential. So I think Arsenal will just don't take anything lightly, but I'm with Jordan. If you have aspirations to top four, then other rivals should be looking at this and go, oh, well, Arsenal are going to breeze these next two games. It's never like that, but make it like that. Make it like it was, like Bournemouth was. Yeah, just say, yeah, that's right. The five, you're all saying, oh, easy run. Look who Arsenal have to play. Yeah, well, we slapped them up and we moved on. That would be something. That really would be something. But it's Arsenal. It's awesome. So, 2-0.
Hopefully a new Arsenal. 2-0, you said. James Lee, give us your prediction.
Yeah, well, one thing I left out about Fulham, as well as what I think they've done, they've conceded 5 goals in 3 games. So I think that will give us a little bit of hope going forward, going into it. And I think, I think our attacking options will be a little bit too strong for them. But I do think that on this occasion that we may concede. So I'm going to go for Arsenal 3, Fulham 1.
He's taking my score, he has.
Oh, it's your score, is it?
I've been saying it every week, mate, but yeah, it's all right, don't worry.
I'm fancying a big game from Saka for this one. I've got a feeling Saka might be the difference in this game. I'm going 3-0. I'm going 3-0 in this one. I'm going for a clean sheet. I'm going 3-0.
Very confident. 3-0 clean sheet. Saliba, man of the match again. Why not?
Let's have it.
As I said, I'm going 3-1. So I've got a little ritual going on this season. I'm going to be predicting 3. No, I'm joking. Look at James' face. I'm just predicting 3-1 till it fucking happens, mate, if I'm honest with you. But it doesn't seem like it's happening. But long may the clean sheets continue.
It might happen now that I've gone for it, Turkish. Don't worry about that. Like, it could well happen now. Listen, I'd love a 3-0. I would love a 3-0. You know what I mean? But you just know that it's going to be every other scoreline but 3-0 now, don't you? You know that, don't you? Like,
Yeah. So history tells us that, it's not going to go down that route. But we'll see. We'll see. Guys, hope you have enjoyed another Fourever Arsenal podcast. Jordan, Lee, James, love for coming on as usual. Leave us your thoughts in the comments section below. Give us your predictions, any changes to the lineup. Go easy on Jordan this week.
No, bring it on. Bring it on. All the scumbags, let's go. Let's bring it on, man. You want to chat some rubbish? Let's go. I've got fingers for days. I've got time. Let's go.
I'll be honest, just a highlight for me, like bring it on. Those first 5 minutes of reading the chat, I love reading the comments and just sit there, put me old glasses. If it give me something to read by the pool, please feel free to have a go at Jordan in any shape or form.
Bring it on. Bring it on. I'm here. I'm here.
Turkish, you should premiere this episode so that Lee can be in the comments with them. Go, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the
Lee
funniest one I will highlight. The funniest one I will highlight, okay? The one that puts in the funniest one I will highlight on the next show. I will go through and highlight it.
Screen.
Yeah, get it up on the screen.
I think that's something we should bring in, maybe a little segment where we take a comment from the last episode and we ask the person included in that comment how they feel about it.
Well, now we're encouraging it, aren't we? Now they bring it.
Well, Lee and his burner phone are commenting on the shows anyway. So you know what I mean. It started already. So all the idiots. Let's go.
People, love for the love as always. Like I said, use the comment section below. Keep it nice, keep it sweet. Give us your honest thoughts, and we'll touch in on it every week. We do look at the comment section. We do engage.
I do now, Turkish. Don't worry about that. I'm on them. I'm on them.
Jordan's policing it. He's policing it. I heard he wants to be a mod, so be careful, people. Be careful. He might get to blocking, but we'll see. People, we are out, and we are back Sunday for another episode of Fourever Arsenal. James is taking a week off. He's enjoying a little holiday, so Sharoy will be coming in to replace James for a couple episodes. We'll still get his predictions, so the league table still stands. And tune in then to another episode. Love for the love. We're out.